Sonic & Knuckles is a 1994 platform game developed and published by Sega. Players control Sonic the Hedgehog and Knuckles the Echidna in their quests to save Angel Island. Sonic tries to prevent Dr. Robotnik from relaunching his orbital weapon, the Death Egg, while Knuckles scuffles with Robotnik's minion, Eggrobo. Like previous Sonic games, players traverse side-scrolling levels at high speeds while collecting rings and defeating enemies. Sega Technical Institute developed Sonic and Knuckles simultaneously alongside its predecessor, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, 1994. They were planned as a single game until time constraints and cartridge costs forced the developers to split it. The Sonic & Knuckles cartridge features an adapter that allows players to connect the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 cartridge, creating a combined game, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Gameplay. Since Sonic & Knuckles and Sonic the Hedgehog 3 were initially developed as one game, their gameplay is similar. Both are 2D side-scrolling platformers with similar level design, graphics, and game mechanics. However, in Sonic & Knuckles, unlike in Sonic 3, the player chooses either Sonic or Knuckles at the title screen. Miles, Tails, Prower is not available to select, and the player cannot control two characters together. There is also no multiplayer mode or save feature. The player character moves through 6 levels, each divided into 2 acts. The first act of each level ends with a mini-boss fight with one of Dr. Robotnik's robots, while the second ends with a regular boss fight with Robotnik, or Eggrobo in Knuckles' campaign. Sonic and Knuckles traverse levels differently. Sonic can jump slightly higher and has access to unique shield abilities, whereas Knuckles can glide and climb most walls. The levels also include cutscenes that differ based on the character selected, as Sonic and Knuckles are opponents for most of the game. The game contains 2 types of bonus stages accessed by passing a checkpoint with at least 20 rings. The first type has Sonic or Knuckles orbit floating, glowing spheres, jetting off each one when a button is pressed, while offensive light approaches from the bottom and will remove the player from the stage if touched. Collecting 50 rings in this stage earns the player a continue. The second type involves bouncing around a room with a slot machine in its center with the intention of winning extra lives and power-ups. Special stages are entered by finding giant rings hidden in secret passageways. The player is placed in a 3D environment and must turn all of a number of blue spheres red by running through them, but must avoid all red spheres, including formerly blue ones. Yellow spheres bounce the player long distances, and white spheres with red stars on them make the player walk backwards in the opposite direction. Completing a special stage earns the player a Chaos Emerald. Collecting all 7 emeralds allows the player to turn into Super Sonic or Super Knuckles, more powerful versions of the characters. Lock-on technology. Sonic and Knuckles features lock-on technology that allows players to open the hatch on the cartridge and insert a second cartridge. When Sonic 3 is inserted, the player can play through both games as one, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. This features several changes to the games, such as slightly altered level layouts, the ability to play through Sonic 3 levels as Knuckles or Sonic and Knuckles levels as Tails, and the ability to save progress in Sonic and Knuckles levels. Additionally, combining the cartridges is the only way to collect Super Emeralds, earned by accessing special stages in the Sonic and Knuckles levels after collecting all 7 Chaos Emeralds from Sonic 3. When all Super Emeralds have been collected, Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails can transform into Hyper Sonic, Hyper Knuckles, and Super Tails respectively, each with unique abilities. Inserting Sonic 2 unlocks Knuckles the Echidna in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, wherein the player can play Sonic 2 using Knuckles' abilities. If the player attaches any other Genesis game released prior to Sonic and Knuckles, a screen with Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik stating, "No way," is displayed. From here, the player can also access a minigame based on Sonic 3's and Sonic and Knuckles' Chaos Emerald special stages. The attached cartridge determines the special stage layout. If the player attaches the original Sonic the Hedgehog, they are able to access all of the possible variations of the special stages, each with a unique level number and corresponding password. This game is named Blue Sphere in Sonic Mega Collection and in Sonic Origins. Plot: after the events of Sonic 3, Dr. Robotnik's orbital weapon, the Death Egg, crash lands on Angel Island. Sonic travels to Angel Island to retrieve the Chaos Emeralds to defeat Robotnik, and once again comes into conflict with Knuckles, who believes Sonic is trying to steal the emeralds for himself. In Hidden Palace Zone, Sonic fights and defeats Knuckles, only to discover Robotnik stealing the Master Emerald, the secret to the island's levitation powers. Knuckles attacks Robotnik, but Robotnik shocks him with electricity. Knuckles shows Sonic a portal that leads them to Sky Sanctuary, where the Death Egg is relaunching. Sonic infiltrates the Death Egg and defeats Robotnik as Super Sonic, retrieving the Master Emerald and returning it to Angel Island as it rises back into the sky. In Knuckles' story, taking place after Sonic's, Knuckles is attacked by Eggrobo, one of Robotnik's robots. He chases him to the damaged remains of Sky Sanctuary, where Mecha Sonic attacks Knuckles, but accidentally destroys Eggrobo instead. Mecha Sonic uses the power of the Master Emerald to achieve a super form similar to Sonic's and fights Knuckles until the latter eventually defeats the Mecha. Sonic flies in piloting the biplane Tornado, and takes Knuckles and the Master Emerald back to Angel Island. If all the Chaos Emeralds are collected, Angel Island rises upwards, into the sky. However, if the player has not collected all the Chaos Emeralds, Angel Island plummets into the ocean. Development: the Sonic & Knuckles cartridge features a lock-on adapter that allows it to be physically attached to other Genesis cartridges. Sonic & Knuckles was developed in California by the Japanese members of Sega Technical Institute, STI. Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles were originally planned as a single game. According to designer Takashi Iizuka, the team really wanted to hit a home run, with larger stages that took longer to develop. As ROM cartridges were too small to contain the game and publisher Sega wanted it released in time for a promotional deal with McDonald's in the US, Sonic 3 was split in two, with Sonic & Knuckles as the second part. Despite the split, the developers wanted the games to feel like a single experience. According to Roger Hector, Vice President and General Manager of STI, the lock-on technology was conceived between the releases of Sonic the Hedgehog 1991 and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 1992. The team explained their situation to Sega's hardware division, which gave them the lock-on adapter. The team knew that players would likely use the adapter to insert games besides Sonic 3, so they implemented the Blue Sphere minigame for most games. They made Knuckles playable in Sonic 2 if that game was inserted because the team found his play style suited its levels. Although the option to play through the original Sonic the Hedgehog as Knuckles was discussed, it was ultimately decided against as it didn't really feel right. Ultimately, they made inserting Sonic 1 into the slot unlock a unique version of the Blue Sphere minigame that goes through all of the generated levels one by one. Release: Sonic & Knuckles was released on October 18, 1994. It was released around the same time as Nintendo's Donkey Kong Country for the Genesis's competitor, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Industry figures called the coinciding releases a battle, as both advertised revolutionary technological advances, lock-on technology for Sonic & Knuckles and 3D rendered graphics for Donkey Kong. Sonic & Knuckles was backed by a $45 million marketing campaign. At the time, video games typically had a marketing budget of $5 million. Re-releases: Sonic & Knuckles has been released as part of numerous compilations of Sega games including Sonic Jam 1997, for the Sega Saturn, Sonic & Knuckles Collection 1997, and Sonic & Garfield Pack 1999, for the PC. Sonic Mega Collection 2002, for the Nintendo GameCube. Sonic Mega Collection Plus 2004, for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and PC. Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection 2009 for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and Sonic Classic Collection 2010 for the Nintendo DS. Sonic & Knuckles is included in the retro console Sega Genesis Flashback released in 2017 by 80 Games, a compilation of 45 Genesis games that does not have Sonic 3. Sonic 3 & Knuckles was re-released for the first time since 2011 as part of the Sonic Origins compilation in 2022. Reception: The Genesis version sold at least 1.24 million copies in the United States. Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles sold a combined 4 million cartridges worldwide. Critics praised Sonic & Knuckles, despite its similarity to its predecessor. Critics praised the lock-on technology the game offered. Legacy: For the series' 20th anniversary in 2011, Sega released Sonic Generations, a game that remade aspects of various past games from the franchise. A remake of the Sky Sanctuary stage was made for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC versions of the game, while the Mushroom Hill level was remade for the Nintendo 3DS version of the game. Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing features a track inspired by the Death Egg as downloadable content along with the Metal Sonic character. The sequel, Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, featured the same race course, and an additional new one inspired by the Sky Sanctuary stage. Reimagined versions of the Flying Battery and Lava Reach stages, along with the Blue Sphere bonus game, appear in the 2017 game Sonic Mania.